I decided to teach because I really want to make a difference in children's lives.
I know a lot of adults will say kids never know when they're ready.
Learners don't want our opinion.
I don't think a lot of learners take the subject seriously.
I was taught that sex gives you AIDS.
I knew that sex was a bad thing to do.
We grew up knowing it is taboo to talk about it.
We were a bit shy to hold each other's hand or to kiss each other.
A teacher needs to remember that this child needs support.
It is said that for many South African girls, violence and abuse are an inevitable part of their school environment. However, we have recently become aware of increasing incidences of abuse against boys. I'm Dineo Ranaga. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. Today we're talking about sexual violence and harassment with a specific focus on the attitudes and behaviours that create a culture of sexual violence. It is every teenager's right to feel safe. And the responsibility is with the parents, the teachers, and the rest of society to protect them by putting boundaries in place and opening up pathways to better communication. Mbuyiselo Botha, a gender activist, is our expert today. He'll be seated backstage with our panel of educators, watching the learners' discussion unfold.
My name is Lesme from Dudar. I'm a life orientation teacher.
I'm Miss Moy. I'm an educator at Westport Primary.
I'm Mr. Smith. It's been the second year now that I've been teaching life orientation.
Today, our panel of learners are Yasid, Anastasia, Taylor, Lisoletu, Nesbeti, Bana. How's it, guys? Welcome, welcome. Are you excited?
Yes, we are.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
Kind of. It's good. But you can relax, I swear. We get to talk under an umbrella of trust. We respect each other's opinions and feelings. But before we talk about it, I want us to watch this video clip of a girl who is a survivor of sexual violence. Take a look.
Mo was outgoing, fun, bubbly person. But after the ordeal, I'm like bottled up. I'm scared to do a lot of things. I'm always indoors. It was on a Sunday after church. I went out with my cousin to grab some food and drinks, and I was grabbed from the gate. And then they put me into a car, strangled me, and then they drove off. He dragged me to a garage, and then he started to beat me up. He just kept on beating me until I collapsed. When I woke up, I was alone in that room. I tried to go out, but the door was locked. He came in because he had the handle, grabbed me by my hair, banged my face on the floor. And from then, that's when he started to rape me. And then from then, I kind of like black out.
Sure. Do we understand what sexual harassment is, all of us sitting here?
Yes, I think we have a kind of a knowledge on sexual harassment, but I don't think that we know the full picture. I think we know like that it's touching inappropriately or something like that.
Some kids feel that they can just quickly just touch this female, maybe not in the sense of harassment, but they don't know what that other learner might do. Yes, definitely.
If a guy pulls your bra strap at school, or if a girl touches your bum at school and smacks it, is that sexual harassment? Is it sexual violence?
Anything, I think, that makes you feel uncomfortable is a form of harassment. Because a lot of people don't know where the boundaries lie. So some people might be more comfortable with a hug while other people might not be.
Do you think it goes beyond touching? If I were to say things to you that made you feel uncomfortable with sexual connotations, do you think that could also be on the verge of sexual harassment?
I had a learner walk into my class the other day from another school, very pretty girl, and all the boys started whistling, and I immediately stopped and I said, guys, How would you like it if you walked into a strange classroom full of children you didn't know and they all started whistling at you? And there was a strange reaction there, but they quietened down. And I think they understood it.
The culture of sexual violence in South Africa, as it stands, do you guys feel safe? Not?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the thing called like slut shaming.
Mm-hmm.
No,
First
she
time I hear that
wears
term.
things like that. She's
So she
probably
deserves
slut shaming.
She was asking for it,
Mm-hmm.
and people think that oh no, she wears things like that. She's
So
probably
she deserves it.
Yeah, she was asking for it. She flirted with me. She wanted it.
I see this lovely person and I see she's wearing a short dress and something that's appealing. So that could also be some sort of consent.
The way you are dressed up, it must also change, man, because really...
Must it change or must I change my attitude?
I must also change the way I dress because it can be, you know.
Just because I am being sexy doesn't mean that I want that. That doesn't mean that it's okay for you to attack me or touch me in any way.
It's important to emphasize that it is not what girls or women wear that leads them to be raped or be sexually violated. It is, in fact, what we as men and boys do to women daily in objectifying them or looking at them as just mere sexual objects.
I mean, I don't feel okay wearing just anything, like even taking public transport sometimes. Like it's a daunting thing.
What do you think you need to do to be safe?
By protecting yourself. You have
How?
to always protect yourself.
How do you
because
protect
you never
yourself?
know what might happen. Like there by our school, always the girls, they always get robbed there by our school. So we don't know if the guys are allowed to die or we're gonna get raped. Like an incident happened at school and it was me and the other boy in my class. Now he likes touching the girls' ass. Now we were going to other period. So I had a scissors in my hand, but I really didn't mean to scare him. So he wanted to touch my ass. So I showed him, yay. I told him, I'm not any other girl that you're gonna just come touch my ass. I'm gonna hit you.
Gaan jou steek.
So what if that scissor, that boy will grab the scissor and use it to you?
Is that the only way we can protect ourselves, though, by grabbing scissors?
No.
It escalates the violence, isn't it? What other ways can we protect
I
ourselves?
think we need to avoid ourselves in getting into strangers' cars in the road. Like any car just stops by and just going to in there. So we need to avoid that, so that like human trafficking is going all around the world. So I think that's another option that we can use.
I think by utilizing our voices.
Yeah.
I think by utilizing our voices, standing tall and say enough is enough, we have to break the silence. Enough of young people or girls who have been raped out there.
And also they're creating awareness about it.
Yazid, Bana.
Yes.
Being male in the group,
Yes.
you feel that boys can be sexually harassed as well?
Yes.
No?
Definitely.
Yes?
Definitely.
Yeah?
You experience at school when females would touch males inappropriately, and it gets sort of shrugged off, and it doesn't get taken as serious as when a male would touch a female, because when you do complain, it takes away a certain aspect of your masculinity, and they think, oh, why would you complain? Or just get over it, grow up, grow a pair, things like that. So I think that it's definitely not taken as serious as it would if it would happen to a female, but it does happen.
If a girl touches a boy, they feel it's okay, they can do it. But when the roles are being reversed, when a male is touching a girl, then it's become a big issue.
If I share about what happened, actually, they will laugh at you. They will say that you are not a man.
For being raped.
That's true, actually.
Because sex in itself is already such a taboo topic. People don't feel safe enough to talk about sex. I mean, from a young age, we give nicknames to our private parts. Like most people...
Kushka.
Yeah, most people don't say penis and they don't say vagina.
They physically want us to put
we know what it is, we know where it goes,
the
but
physical
we don't know how
dildo,
to
the
use
physical
it.
tools
What
of
to
a
do
male and
in
female
situations
and
where
do the thing.
that also kind of makes you shameful of it, so that when it happens, you don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it because you're really not comfortable enough talking about sex itself.
I would like the parents to be involved in this so that they can also be able to assist their children at home if I am not there.
Us in class as well as in the community and at home, we need to talk about it more freely. It mustn't be something that we are uncomfortable speaking about.
When I woke up again, I woke up at the gate. at home. No one really knew that I was missing. My mom thought I was here, and my grandma and dad thought I was there by my mom's. My grandmother was the one who found me. She started shouting at me, "Why are you going late at night?" Things like that. I don't know if she noticed me that I'm bruised or something, but then I went straight into bed. When I woke up, I heard my dad's voice, and I rushed to him, and he rushed me to the nearest doctor. At the hospital, they asked me what happened, but I couldn't remember what happened. I just said I fell. The memory started coming back when I was home. A week after I was released from the hospital. It has affected my life a lot because I live in fear. What if he catches me again and then he kills me for good this time?
Just in terms of breaking the silence, of how difficult it was for me to deal with an instance when I was, someone tried to rape me. And I relate that to them, and I told them how difficult it was for me to speak about it when it happened to me. It took me almost 2 days to be able to tell anyone that it had happened because I felt so ashamed of myself, even though I had in no way encouraged this person.
Can any of you relate to what Mpa's been through? Have any of you ever experienced sexual harassment, sexual violence?
No, we didn't. But there was someone I know actually. She is my best friend. We were together since grade 10 till now. She just experienced that last week. So it's so touching because it's the same thing that happened to her.
In my community, in my street, for instance, I usually see like these young boys, they would touch these young girls, their friends, inappropriately, and they would be almost rewarded for it. They would be told, "Oh, my big boy is growing up," and things like that by their parents.
Really?
Yes, they won't even like scold them for it. They would just tell them, "Oh, he's growing up." So I think that way of bringing a child up definitely contributes to the socialization of boys touching girls, and then that just rolls on and has a domino effect as the child grows older.
I'm interested to find out, because at the beginning you said that you understand certain aspects of sexual harassment, but you don't get the full picture. Yes. What do you think constitutes to you not getting the full picture? Do you think there's a manner in which there's something lacking in how you are taught sexual harassment and such at school?
We taught the basics of it. So it's like we are taught about rape and sexual assault, but it's never experiences. We never get to hear, because I think if teachers then did that, like if we had more group discussions, more class discussions, we'd find out how often sexual harassment actually happens.
It's challenging, because if you tell kids, bring newspaper articles, bring magazine articles, maybe 1 or 2 will bring, they don't take life orientation seriously, so they don't bring what they're supposed to.
How are they teaching you at school to protect yourselves?
It's a very interesting question.
Our teacher will often have group discussions with us, and she'll speak to us about how we protect ourselves, and then in that way we can teach each other. So the common ones are always have communication with someone that's at home who can help you and save you, and then also walking in groups, because that often makes perpetrators afraid of you.
They must form part of a group in order for them to cross there, because if you are a group, the scholars, there's nothing that they can do to you. But as long as you are an individual, you are a victim.
How do they teach you? Do you sit in groups or at your desks? Do you go outside?
We mostly sit at our desks in class.
Does that work for you?
Not actually.
Not actually. Really?
Yeah. Not actually.
Being taught how to protect yourself just sitting at your desk, it doesn't work for you?
No, it doesn't
What
work.
would you like? How would you like to be taught how to protect yourself?
Having playing out scenarios, things that could actually happen. Like what to do in situations where your safety is being threatened, or where someone is trying to force themselves on you.
So when I speak about sexual harassment, I love making it more practical. Okay, so getting the learners to engage and telling me what their experiences are, what if they have maybe gone through it or have not gone through it, and what are their thoughts of maybe their friend has seen it or their family members has seen it. So when it's engagement of a sexual harassment, I make it more as a practical, but once that is done, they need to understand that the theory is not okay to do it.
How would you prefer to report sexual violence at school?
Where it comes to what happens outside of a classroom, all you can do is that you can assist the learners where needed be, and then go through your channels of what the school has provided for you as an educator.
I would like that it to be more anonymous when you do report it, so that any shaming that comes with it is not evident, because nowadays word gets around and then the whole school will know, and that even more makes people not speak up about it.
I like the fact that you brought up discussing things with your teachers. You do know that they're watching in the next room, right? So we're going to call them out so we can continue this discussion.
Girls out there, you need to stand up and talk about it. You don't have to live in fear and hide, because hiding won't help. You need to talk about it so that you can get proper help. Teachers and parents, they just need to bear with us and support us.
We've reached one of my favorite parts of the show, where the learners and educators sit together to have a very healthy discussion. And this discussion is going to take place under the watchful eye of our favorite expert, Ntatembui Solobota.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm excited to hear what your thoughts were when you were sitting in the other room watching what the learners have to say. But before we get into that, I asked my young friends here if they understand what sexual violence is, what sexual harassment is, and they understand it on the surface. How do we then make sure that our learners are clear about what sexual harassment is, what physical assault is? How do we teach them better?
I think it's almost impossible for teachers to reach all the children. It's not possible. I teach 300 learners. It's difficult sometimes to pick up on things. I think it's important that we develop structures amongst the learners, because this is their peers.
I'd like us to take a look at some of the headline-making, personal space infringement and sexual harassment claims that have been made that really are a bad representation of educators at large. We've got a headline here: sex crime, teacher gets slap on wrist. So he was suspended for statutory rape. Nothing much happened there. He was just suspended. A child's personal space was infringed to the extreme. Another headline: sex abuse scandal rocks top school. This is a teacher who has now come out for having molested 20 children. It's extreme. It's bad. How does this sort of information make you feel as teachers, that our children are even this unsafe in our schools?
It's disgusting.
It is.
We shouldn't. But you know, you can't control all the factors.
As an educator, I feel very disgusted that other educators are encountering with younger females or younger males.
There are always going to be predatory people out there. They exist in our world. So the only thing I can do is not be like that.
But also, as educators, it's critical, cardinal importance to emphasize no sexual relationship between learners and teachers. That becomes your alpha and omega. Even in front of the learners, to say that it is your body, you have a right to say no. When a teacher does X, Y, Z, here are the steps. You need to do this and this. So I think that there's much more that teachers could do, and then they can also be proactive by ensuring that their own peers, they discourage them from any sexual relationship with learners.
A child needs to be assertive. It's of no use. We are going to blame one another. But at the end of the day, the child is there alone. So what do you do as a child there? You need to be assertive. A no must be a no.
It starts from what your parent has taught you, your values, your strengths, your weaknesses. And once you have known what that abilities are, then you will be able to say, but I feel uncomfortable. This is not for me. Let's just move past this.
We really can't just leave it to them and say that I have given you tools. It's important that there's a reinforcing, there's a repetition. it's important that they know that this is what we want as parents.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up. I am running short of time. Parting thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that life orientation is the one class where they should feel safe enough to come to their teacher. And when they do, that they should be seen as an adult, especially on a high school level now. Because teachers can have the tendency to be condescending towards their learners, and that makes you not want to talk to them about how you're feeling or whatever.
When you say an adult, what do you understand?
Like I said, to not be condescending. So to not be...
Acknowledge that they are on the path and on a growth path. They may be learners, maybe teenagers, if I understand you correctly, but they're on a growth path. And at the age of 18, she's a young adult. So I understand fully what she says by not be condescending. So don't speak to me like I am unlearned.
It's also critical that teachers really understand that kids may be in pain, may be frustrated, may have their own issues at home, and it is as parents, they are there to ensure that kids have access to them. The school is made safe. So one of the things that we really have to do in breaking the silence is to avoid putting our heads in the sand, but acknowledging that sexual harassment and sexual violence are not easy topics to talk about, because as society, there are these issues of conservatism, there are issues of that inhibits us of religion, of culture. It's about time that we acknowledge they exist, but to say we need to break that silence and talk more and engage. Talk.
Today has been a very informative session for myself as an educator and for the learners.
Today's discussion was very informative in such a way that when we go back to school, the teachers should know what to teach the children about LOs and what the children should respond to that.
What I want to bring across to them mainly is that in your relationships, you have to be assertive. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you want. You need to know what your values are. And when someone is transgressing your values, and when you feel that you are being compromised in a situation, you need to recognize that.
In closing, I want to point out something that I noticed in today's conversation, which is, I think, what happens in our schools. In your absence, each of them were very comfortable to express their thoughts. They articulated themselves very well. But in the presence of people that are older than them, that are more senior than them, they are suppressed. Do you see where I'm going with it? So this is the dynamics we're dealing with in our schools. This is what we need to remedy, and I think we've done well at planting a solid seed. Well done.
Thank you.
Educators, you are role models. Be vigilant with the words you use and protect all learners. Parents, never blame your child for being raped or harassed. Learners, rape and harassment are never your fault. We've had a fruitful discussion with our learners about how they want us to respond to issues of sexual harassment and violence. No one deserves to be sexually assaulted or sexually harassed. Tune in next week for another episode of Breaking the Silence.